My name is Mrs. Rogers, and today I'm going to read Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon. There we go. Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon, written by Patti LaBelle and illustrated by David Gattro. Now, before I start this book, let me ask you a question. Do you know someone who is maybe a little quirky and maybe has some unusual traits? Maybe they look a little different, maybe they act a little different, or have something different about them. But in spite of that, they are completely confident in themselves and then in any kind of situation. Do you know someone like that? No matter what you say or what other people say to them, they are confident, even in their quirkiest traits. I know a few people like that here at Smarts Mill, but this book reminds me in particular of someone in my family who is just confident no matter what. I'll tell you about that person after we finish. In the meantime, let's learn about Molly Lou Mellon. Here we go. Molly Lou Mellon stood just taller than her dog and was the shortest girl in first grade. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Walk as proudly as you can, and the world will look up to you." And look, there's Molly. Okay. And look, this is Molly's bed. Look, and this is Molly's cat. Or maybe it's Molly's grandma's cat. And look, there's Molly's balcony, and there's the railing way up there. Okay, Molly is small indeed. So the grandma said, let me just go back because I lost the flow there. "Walk as proudly as you can, and the world will look up to you." So she did. Molly Lou Mellon had buck teeth that stuck out so far she could stack pennies on them. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Smile big and the world will smile right alongside you." Whew. So she did. Wow. Imagine someone like that walking down the hall here at Smarts Mill. What would you say to a person like that or about a person like that? Think about that. There. Molly Lou Mellon had a voice that sounded like a bullfrog being squeezed by a boa constrictor. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Sing out clear and strong, and the world will cry tears of joy." Say it with me. So she did. Molly Lou Mellon was often fumble-fingered. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Believe in yourself and the world will believe in you too." Oh, oh dear. So she did. Well, then Molly Lou Mellon moved to a new town. She had to say goodbye to her grandma and all of her friends. Oh dear. There's a friend right there. And start in a new school. What does it feel like to have to start where no one knows you? Have you been in a situation, maybe at camp or at a new school, maybe, where no one knows you and no one knows the things that make you weird, but also maybe cool? How does that feel? There we go. We skipped one. On the first day of school, Ronald Durkin called her Shrimpo in gym class. When the game started, Molly Lou Mellon caught the football, ran under the legs of Ronald Durkin, and scored a touchdown. All the children thought, wow, she's good. And Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. On the second day of school, Ronald Durkin called her Bucky Tooth Beaver. Molly Lou Mellon took out her pennies, stacked 10 high on her teeth, and smiled as big as day. All the children smiled with glee, and Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. On the third day of school, Ronald Durkin said, "You sound like a sick dunk, honk, honk." Molly Lou Mellon sang out, "Quack," so clear and strong that it made Ronald Durkin somersault backwards, hit his head, and have to go to the nurse. All the children cried with joy to be free of Ronald Durkin for the rest of the afternoon, and Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. Oh dear. Should we be worried about Ronald Durkin at this point? What do you think is going to happen next? Let's find out. Oh, on the fourth day of school, Ronald Durkin said that she'd made the snowflake all wrong. But Molly Lou Mellon opened up her paper and revealed the most beautiful snowflake of all. All the children oohed and awed, even Ronald. On the fifth day of school, Ronald Durkin brought Molly Lou Mellon a stacking penny for her tooth and smiled at her. That night, Molly Lou Mellon took out a pencil and paper and wrote a letter to her grandma. There we go. Dear Grandma, I wanted to tell you that everything you told me was exactly right. Love, Molly Lou Mellon. The end. Well, that was Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon. Now, I asked you at the beginning if you knew of someone who, no matter what quirks they have, is completely confident. The person in my life who's like that is my dad. Yeah, he's got a strange sense of humor, and he likes to use it everywhere he goes. He also grew up on a farm, which made him a little unusual in the factory town we lived in. Everyone's parents worked in the factory, and he came to school after having to help out early in the morning on the farm. He probably smelled not so good. Okay. And then after school, when all the other kids were going to maybe football practice practice or band practice, he had to go home and help out on the farm again. It was a strange lifestyle for a factory town. But that didn't stop my dad from, I want to say, becoming the class clown. I don't know if he was popular or not, but he certainly acted like he was popular and like he had quite a following, even though when I was growing up, people would come up to me, older people who knew my dad, and say, "How do you do it? Aren't you embarrassed?" My dad was never embarrassed. He told the loudest jokes. He walked up to everyone. And he was very friendly, no matter what people said. But he was also a very brave guy and a very loyal guy. And if you needed a friend, my dad was the guy. And some people realized this about him. Some people were just embarrassed about him, didn't like to be around him, but other people knew that underneath that strange, quirky exterior was a guy who would help you, would go to great lengths to help you if you were in need. And he was the best kind of friend to have. You just had to kind of put up with maybe some embarrassing jokes every now and then. Well, Molly Lou Mellon made the best of even her buck teeth. She took a trait that was awkward and odd and made it into something that she actually could show off to people. Now, think about this. Do you have a trait like that? Or do you know of someone else who has something that makes you kind of cringe? But if you think about it, it's actually a good quality. So when you're walking around Smarts Mill, I want you to think about how you can flip how you think about some people, and the awkwardness and the weirdness and quirkiness that you see in people around you. See if you can make that into a good quality they have, something you can actually admire in them. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Let's all be like Molly Lou Mellon, and no matter what, have confidence in ourselves. Thank you.